Week 17, the conclusion of the 2023 NFL best ball season has come and gone. We've had some big winners. We've had some tilt. We've had some insane sweats and everything there in between here at Spike Week. And today, myself, Erik Rob, my co-host, Rob Coakley, we're going to cover it all. We're going to break it down, everything that happened in Week 17, everything that we wish might have happened in Week 17, the sweats, the fun, the tilt, and all of that here in the final show of the best ball regular season in 2023. I guess 2024. Either way, let's do it.
3, 2, 1, liftoff.
Rob, we did it. We made it all the way through another NFL best ball season. Week 17, like when it's all over, it's a very bittersweet, especially depending upon how Week 17 ended up for you. Week 17 is it can be very, very brutal. I was, lucky enough. We were both lucky enough to get some teams with some live shots into Week 17. I know, I'm sure some folks in the chat, certainly a bunch of the folks in the Discord had some serious sweats. We'll pull up some of the Jesus. I posted in the Discord to get the folks to. I just wanted like a one spot instead of everybody going to different channels and posting, hey, I won this, I did that. I was like, let's just create one place, and it was like so many people just crushed it. Had awesome years in best ball. Had awesome Week 17 sweats, but it is one of the weirdest, I feel like, kind of experiences that you can go through. In like the gambling space, everybody has bad beats, everybody has whatever, but to spend all year, like especially if you're drafting super early, right, on underdog, like most of the year investing your time and hard work and money into all of this, and then it all comes down to like 1, 2, if you're lucky, 3 teams or something, and then even then it comes down to like, did this guy drop this touchdown? Did this guy get a penalty at the 1 and we get another touchdown, like little itty bitty stuff. And so it's definitely very bittersweet where like I personally am like super grateful for how it ended up, being able to have a sweat and have a good score. But also you think back to every little thing that happened. Like I'm think back to all the pacing around my basement that I did, and like DK Metcalf, why'd you drop that touchdown? George Pickens, why didn't you go all the way to the end zone on that last catch? Like just like all these little things, and you're like, yeah, that was 100K, that was 100K, that was 100K, and it's like so easy. It's so easy to like be negative about it too. That it's just a bizarre like few days, I feel like.
Yeah, and I myself am staying in a castle tonight, but not under the conditions I expected them to be, where I won like Best Ball Mania 3, bought my own castle, and I was living in the castle. I'm staying at a castle because I had to go to work this week, and I had to stay in a hotel that used to be a castle. So I guess small victories. But to your point, if I told you in the preseason that in Week 17, the Chiefs are going to have 7 scoring drives, you would have said, wheels up, right? And then if I told you that 6 of those 7 scoring drives were field goals, you would have been like, are you freaking kidding me? So, yeah.
And Jamar Chase played. Not that, I'm not saying it mattered for you specifically, but like people, like we were excited about that game. And you're like, yeah, okay, let's ignore Burrow for a second. But you're like, the Chiefs have 7 scoring drives. The Bengals, all the Bengals skill players are healthy, right? And the Bengals defense is worse than we thought. The Chiefs defense has gotten continually worse over the course of the season. You'd be like, oh my God, like that's the game. That's the game.
That's the game.
and nothing happened. Isaiah Pacheco happened, but other than Isaiah Pacheco, nothing happened.
Spoiler alert, it was not the game. It was not the game you needed. The game you needed, unfortunately, kind of came on Saturday night as we all dreaded. And the funny thing about that game is, other than CeeDee Lamb, and that's like a huge asterisk, right? Because CeeDee Lamb was a god among men playing football Saturday night. But everyone else was pretty much getting dusted off. And you're like, okay, I know this CeeDee Lamb thing sucks, but Amon-Ra's not getting there. None of these other guys are getting there. And then boom, like a whirlwind happens. And it's like, oh, everyone's there. Everyone just gets there. Everyone gets points. Oprah's handing out, fantasy points to the people that stack this game. And that's, I guess, the silver lining is like we can use the week 17 thing, because God knows I'm about to start to get in these streets and start battling people on this week 17 thing again. But people were arguing already about this, like there was no week 17 correlation to winning lineups. It's like, hey, did you watch the Cowboys Lions game? Did you see everyone's winning lineups?
There was.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't have to just be like I'm really not sure where all that stuff came from. We don't need to dive all the way into all that. We got lots of time.
Oh, we will this offseason.
We definitely will. But I just didn't really understand, and I don't understand the need to, like, the day after all this stuff ends, like, was it your New Year's resolution to go out on Twitter and shit on things, and also just flat out lie and say that
be wrong?
Yeah, literally, just so confidently wrong about week 17 stuff that, like, I did love, shout out Pat Carrain, our good friend. Somebody tagged him in on one of the threads. I don't know. I couldn't keep track of everything. This is why I've deleted Twitter from my phone, so I don't get involved in any of that stuff. But somebody tagged him in and was like, do you want to weigh in or whatever? Because somebody said that no winners have had week 17 correlation. And Pat was like, well, other than every pick I made, and like I had like 4 different games stacked up, and all the reason I had every single one of these players on this team was basically because of weak correlation. Other than that, there was nothing. It's like, so the whole lineup was made because of that. And there's someone out there being like, look, another team that won a basketball tournament without correlation. It's like, the team that won had like 4 different correlations in week 17, and then multiple teams have won it before. And it's just one of those. It's kind of like the sad part of the end of the best ball season is like you flip over the calendar, and now it's like, God, we got to do all these conversations again. It's like we just been having the fun and the tilt. The tilt is both sometimes exhilarating, but obviously very stressful. We've just been doing like kind of the fun part of it for the last 4 months, like sweating it out, enjoying the victory laps of our teams, right? I got to experience the most absurd run out for Sam Howell and everything that has, like, there has never been a funnier fantasy like outcome, especially given the conversations that I had with Corinne over the summer and others. Yeah. And like all that is like all fun. Like that's so fun. And then it's like, can we just enjoy, like, even if it didn't work out perfect for you, like, dude, to get there and to like have a chance and to have a sweat. It sucks when, like, I know this hurt you, Christian McCaffrey goes down, right? It sucks when the Lions, it was a total suck out at the end, right? Like you said, that started off the whole week 17. I mean, Thursday started it off with a monster Brees game and basically a good Njoku game, but like nothing there was unfadeable, right? Like that game happened and you weren't like, shit, I don't have those Thursday night games. You would have preferred to have Brees.
You were happy if you had them, but like if you didn't, you were not scrambling.
I had Brees on DraftKings. I didn't have anybody in that game on Underdog, and I was like, whatever, it's not that big of a deal. But Saturday, I didn't have CD. I actually had this was a whirlwind for me this weekend. I actually messaged Corinne. I told him on Friday when we recorded the latest episode of Legendary Sickos, but I also messaged him and I was just like, all right, I'm rooting for you. He had CD, Amon-Ra, Brees. He's got Kyron in the bag. He's got like, he only had air quotes, only had Laporta, right, to be the tight end, but whatever, 12 points on Underdog was fine. He had like, he had Seattle. I had Seattle. I'm like, I'm gonna root because I'm still kind of rooting for myself. If I root for you, I'm like, I'm gonna root for my DraftKings team. Your team is fucking awesome on Underdog. And then just the weird way the early games played out. My team's making a monster push because you needed Lamar Jackson. Lamar was the way people were asking a lot. Like, how do I don't have CD. What could possibly happen that would help me win it? And like my team actually was the example of how do you make a push without CeeDee Lamb? It's like, well, the CD teams have Dak and Goff a lot. And so there's very few teams with those guys without other pieces in that game. And I did have Amon-Ra and Laporta. So I sucked out like pretty big at the end there, but I didn't know it until later, right? Because then once Lamar goes off and Kyron goes off and somebody else, Achane, right? Mostert's out, and I have Achane in the lineup, and it's like, dude, like I just got the nut run out, and I was legitimately live for $3 million in the second half of the Seattle Steelers game. Like if I just get a couple of good bounces and touchdowns. And so it was the total roller coaster, but such a good example of like, dude, anything can fucking happen in these week 17 games. Like I said, I had the highest scoring non-CD team in BBM. I had a chance, I had a sweat, it didn't all work out. Shout out DK for dropping that touchdown at the end. I'll never forgive him, but like just the total absolute chaos. I still had fun. It was fun. It sucks, and we're going to talk about some of the negatives of it too. But man, what a crazy fantasy playoffs! Like we haven't nobody's even talking about like Christian McCaffrey got hurt, dude. Like Christian McCaffrey got hurt in the final. You know what I mean?
Dude, I'm talking about.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, that was my DraftKings team. Like I'm lucky as shit that I ran pure on the BBM team, because coming in, like I said, I was like, I'm ready to just root for this DK team because it was a really good team. And I had CMC, Kyron, and Brees. I'm like, if those guys are the nuts, cool, I'll take my chances. And I finished, like 600th or something like that in the DK mill. I had CMC and I used the score. And it's like tough shit, dude. You didn't get he didn't get the touchdowns before he got hurt, and then he got hurt, and it was coffins.
Definitely shout out to Dorito and Updog, but Jay Cagliari or something like that. He won the Drafters High Roller. He had 3 teams in like the top 7 or whatever, and his team that won was taking 8 zeros before the week started because of the injuries he had. And you're like, man, and he just had the nuts. Like sometimes you just have the nuts, man. It wasn't me this year, but hopefully next year I just have the nuts. And I think I was devastated. Just to be perfectly blunt, Sunday night, I was devastated because I wanted to make a run at one of those 2 tournaments I was in. But after you get over that, which is not an easy feat, and you take a step back and you start looking at the teams that won, you start looking at your own team, and you're like, okay, we do have an edge in this quite a bit. Like, yeah, there is some randomness to getting the right players, but look at the teams that won and the people. I mean, hell, we know most of the people that won from the Discord or something. And then you look at their teams, and we were talking about it offline where like we looked at the winning BBM 3 team or BBM, whatever. What is this? 5, 4, whatever. 4. The guy that just won the 3 million. And we could walk through step by step, like what his team was. We could tell where he got sniped on certain players, and we knew the story that he was telling as he drafted it. Right. I'm sure like shout out to him. He's going to be on a ton of shows, and I guarantee you that he's going to be like, yeah, I was looking at correlation here. I was looking at this here. I was going to draft Jared Goff to go with Amon-Ra and Laporta. He got sniped. I ended up with CJ Stroud as my 3rd quarterback. Wasn't able to stack him with anybody in the back. Ended up with Kyron because I thought he was the best player available. Like I guarantee like that's going to be not to steal his thunder, right? But you could just look at the story, and the point being, this is what we're doing in drafts. We are telling our stories. We are drafting within structures. We're going to argue about player takes, and it's a lot of fun and everything. But every team that I was looking at won. I'm like, okay, well, there's the week 17 correlation. There's the team stack. There's this, there's that. There's this type. There's the 0 RB team. There's, like you see all the variations of it. And for people to go on Twitter the next day, and we'll get off of it, and just be like, the best ball bros would laugh at this team. Like, it's literally a best ball bros team. Like, I don't know 100%. I don't know what we're doing here. So whatever. Like, point that I'm making is, yes, Sunday sucked if you didn't win a lot, but look at your teams, look at your results, look at the teams that did win, and see if you're doing the things that those teams did to win. And if you are, make sure you just tighten up your process next year and just continue to get better. I mean, that's what I want to do. I want to continue to get better when I'm drafting next year. If you're not striving to get better, then you should never be doing whatever you're doing. Right. So
Yeah, we made it 2 days into 2024, and we already had like a 6-hour conversation in the Discord today about things that we want to do better. We're debating back and forth different ways to analyze some players today. It was actually, I'm sure there's people that are lurking, and they see some of the conversation. These guys are like fucking idiots. They're like, what is wrong with these people on January 2nd talking about Sam Laporta and Trey McBride and whatever. But it is, I think, it is a little bit of a testament to this community is like amazing and craving, like trying to get better. Like that's all it is everybody's just trying to get better. Like, how do I process what just happened and not overreact to like, oh, I just ran bad, but also how do I not just assume I ran bad everywhere when it didn't work out and get better? Like you said, I have a bunch of things. We won't get into all those today, but I have a bunch of different things that like, I feel actually it's so funny because this season played out in such a crazy way for me personally, where like I said, everybody's out there and I just stay silent, right? Week 13, 14, 15. Everybody's out there. Check this advance rate, bro. Check this advance rate. 25%, 25%, 28%. Look at all my advance. Look at all my teams that cashed in the regular season. Look at my $250, right? And it's like, I got to sit here and just hold my L with my 13% advance rate. Like, you give advice on this and you advance 5%, below expectation. Congratulations. But I just sat there and I said, I actually really like my teams that did get through. And the funny part is I specifically highlighted this team that made the one that made the run before week 15 even started. Again, Corrine and I recorded. We were just going through, some of our kind of things that we were excited for in the fantasy playoffs. And I went through and I said, man, everything's kind of aligning for this one team in particular in Best Ball Mania that I'm excited about. And like, it's a fool's errand to go and pick out a specific team you got to get first out of 16, and then make a run out of 441 people the next week. Like the chances are, that team finishes 9th in week 15. You never even think about it again. But I just happened to see it. And I was like, I don't know, man, this team looks pretty good, like pretty strong. Got just as it takes to make the finals and to make a run. Got a lucky ass run out, right? Like, get the George Pickens game, and Gabe Davis remembers how to play football for 1 week out of the last 2 months, and like obviously has Kyron on it, and just gets a little lucky here and there. But that's what it takes. And then that's the team that is making a run, and it doesn't have CeeDee Lamb on it, right? The guy that just absolutely crushes in week 17 didn't have Devontae Adams. It had obviously, Kyron was absolutely massive. And then, having Achane was super helpful. He wasn't, the highest scoring running back, but getting, oh, God damn it, Gabe's back. Having that was just amazing. But I just find it funny that we reach, I feel like we reach this point in the season. It's over. Most people lost money or didn't do anything tangibly that they're like super excited about. Even people that did things that they're excited about are just like, damn, I still feel like I ran bad, right? There's only like 10 people in the whole space that are like, fuck yes, I just dominated the season, right? Out of like thousands and thousands, there's so few people that just walk away with an awesome taste in their mouth. And yet it's like, we're going to flip the calendar over and just be like, yep, I'm going to do the same shit I did last year, right? Like, I'm going to dive into my player takes. I'm going to be super overconfident about things. All I'm going to care about is advance rate. And it's like, I feel like this is such a good time to go back and be like I'm challenging all my beliefs, like all of them. Like I don't want to get caught in that space where you're like, you think you have it all figured out. Because guess what? Nobody does. But I do feel like the people that are thinking about this game thought that, like, look at who had teams in week 17. Look at who had sweats. Look at who had really high finishes. It is a lot of people that are really heavily invested in this game, right? Mm-hmm. Like, even some of the people that you may not know their names, I see their names on that leaderboard. I know who those usernames are. I don't know who those people are. I know who those usernames are. They're grinders. They're thoughtful players at all this, right? You had serious sweats. I had serious sweats. Herzig had serious sweat. Corrine had it. Like, everybody in our Discord had monster sweats. It's all these people that are thinking about the game a little differently than everybody is and trying to approach it in a little bit of a different way. And so it sucks when it doesn't turn out for you, at the end of that season. But I think this year, more than any, prove to me, like, if you really invest and you really like try to be thoughtful about this and attack it from like a strategic angle, not like the same way everybody else drafts teams strategy wise, but like a unique strategy, right? Like what you did in the what the hell's the $1,000? What you did in the Mastiff, right? What I did on my BBM team. Nobody would fucking wait for their Antonio Gibson to be their first running back. Nobody would only take Sam Laporta and Cole Turner. Are you a psychopath? Like, what are you talking about? Nobody would ever do that. But being willing to do some of these, and that didn't even work, right? Like Cole Turner didn't even work.
Right.
Like,
but it's important to point those out.
But
like even the ones that don't work.
You get to this point, and it's like, look at all these teams that everybody won with, or look at the people that won, and look at how they think about this game. And then you have the people, the first of the year starts, and they're like, "See, week 17 is fucking stupid," and it's like, don't do that. Like you can take the time to assess and figure out what week 17 really means. Will help you, I promise. But it's not like going out and pretending like you have it all figured out. It's like we can get better and these, like I keep saying thoughtful, but that's really what it is. Thoughtfulness at this point in time to like continue to grow. And that's what we should use week 17 for.
Right. It's part of a system of the way you're drafting and learning what systems you want to use. Yeah, the Mastiff. Not only did I decide that after this year, looking at it and seeing the teams in the finals and everything, yeah, I like the solo elite quarterback. I think you could do it with a mid-range quarterback in that tournament, right? I mean, some of them you would have busted this year. Like, let's say you wanted Deshaun Watson. That would have been a huge L because of the injury. But that other little range there, that was Jared Goff and Dak Prescott and Tua, right? You'd be fine. You would have been fine in that tournament.
Solo Dak would have been the nuts, man. Like, right. Amazing.
You would have been great. So, like, understand. I mean, you are taking the injury risk, and we saw that was huge this year with that position. But also, we're gonna have like really crazy. It's like draft. The drafts are going to be so different this coming year because of the tight end position, and because I think quarterbacks are going to get pushed back down and mushed together, and we're going to be weighing it out. And that's why best ball is a different game every year. Like, people are trying to take this data every year, and you should, obviously, but there's such nuance to every single draft season and draft cycle that's going on year to year. Quarterbacks were pushed up heavily.
We're losing you. Okay.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Sorry. But all the tight ends are young.
These goddamn castles. Yeah, you're cutting in and out. See if you can get her straightened out. You're just a little frozen right now. I'll hit some of the comments in the chat. I mean, I didn't even understand what he said, but Joe thinks what you said was really good. So I'm kidding. Obviously, it was well said. A great point from Lion. Shout out Lion, a great member of the Discord. Said my unique strategy was to hammer Dalvin Cook and Cam Akers, right? And some people would say, "Oh, ha, you're an idiot." And Lion made the finals with an awesome team, right? My unique strategy, not actually unique, but part of my strategy was hammering a bunch of players who you certainly didn't see. Well, you did. Damian Harris was on my finals team. Shout out to me. But you didn't see Rashad Penny on there, right? You didn't see Sam Howell on there. You didn't see some of the guys that I was super duper hit. Rashad Bateman wasn't on there. Jahan Dotson wasn't on there. But like you said, all it takes is one team. And as long as you're like trying to figure out some form of an edge, and then within that draft, like you said, there's so much nuance to every draft. There's so much that goes into drafting like we do. If you're only drafting 5 teams or something like that, your approach is going to be very different than, say, Rob or I's. I mean, I drafted, trying to think of even what the math is. Call it 200 something DraftKings teams, 150, 170 drafters teams. So what's, call just because I'm old and my brain is going bad. Let's call that 400, and then 350 underdog teams. So call it 750. Right, we'll just call it 750 teams. Not every single team is going to be the exact same, right? Like I'm going into every draft, and you are doing things differently. You are structuring things around some of the players that you believe are the biggest edges. But like I talked about this in the Discord today, and it goes exactly to what you said. Every draft has a little bit of a different nuance. My finals team had the overwhelming majority of the players that I was pretty heavy on. I actually was heavy on Seattle. I know I didn't talk a ton about DK Metcalf over the summer, actually, but I was way overweight DK Metcalf. I talked a lot about JSN, and I was obviously overweight him. Lamar and the Ravens, right? Matt, like that was probably like my second biggest stand aside from Washington was Lamar and the Ravens. 0 running back, right? And it has Antonio Gibson, Achane, Chuba, Algier, Kyron, like literally all the guys that I like. All those guys are like 15+% in my portfolio. But I didn't like George Pickens this year. Didn't like him. Always had him like in our rankings, our Spike Week rankings. He was always below his ADP. I was underweight George Pickens, but I wasn't so stubborn as to say he is still an archetype of a player that I don't want to have 0 of, but I want to be smart about when I build him in. And I started to build this 0 running back team, and I took DK Metcalf and I took JSN, and it's like, all right, you got to the 6th round now. You're probably going to take a wide receiver. Don't take whatever, right? Whatever other 6th round wide receiver. Don't take, some random uncorrelated piece in the 6th round. Take George Pickens. He fits perfectly on this team. And guess who I sure as shit needed in the fantasy playoffs to make money? George Pickens. And it's like, that's the game. I know it's one example. It's one player. It's one specific person's team.
KJ Osborne last year, Alec Pierce.
Yeah.
Like these are those guys, right? It's the archetype player that gets you through to week 17 on these really tough to get to the finals roster. And you have to understand that like you need that guy versus Tyler Boyd. I know I pick on Tyler Boyd a lot, but is Tyler Boyd going to give you the spike week in week 14 that, an Alec Pierce is going to give you? Probably not.
Probably
ever.
not.
So like that's how you have to build these teams with that thought process and understanding the contest that you're in for that. That's what the Best Ball Mania team is. That's not what a drafters team is. Like you can have those guys on drafters, right? And for all the arguments we see about like people wanting regular season like rewards for what they do in weeks 1 through 14. You want to be rewarded for a team that's doing well week 1 to 14, play on drafters. They are a cumulative scoring league. If you're doing well by the end of week 14, you're probably going to make some serious money by the end of week 17. So there are formats for that. Like you have to understand the format you're playing. So, I mean, not that we can't get better on payouts on all tournaments and all that, but specifically if you're looking for that type of thing, there are places to play for that.
Yeah, I actually think it's funny you bring that up because I had that thought certainly on Sunday about Best Ball Mania. And it's one of those things where there are people, I don't think that this opinion is necessarily wrong, just like most opinions in Best Ball, but you get to week 17, which is of course what we're talking about here. And people would say, if you didn't like the payout structure or format of that tournament, don't play it. And what I would say is that is a little bit of a closed-minded way to think about a totally new and emerging space where if we are these sickos, like you see at the top of your screen, where we do have this edge that we just basically outlet, right? When I'm talking about, you had multiple finals teams with sweats of, 50 grand. Like I had a 2 finals teams. A bunch of the people in the chat we have an edge, but we only get to play this game once per year. And there's only one tournament out there that has DraftKings has multiple life-changing, right? But there's one tournament on Underdog with a total absolute life-changing amount of money up there that you like one person, like you said, is going to go on a bunch of shows and their entire life just changed. Pat Corain's entire life changed last year. Liam's life changed.
He was already on a bunch of shows. Corain's,
that's true.
It wasn't
his life changed in a different way. Motherfucker lives in Southern California now. His life definitely changed in just very different ways. But you get 1 year right? This isn't DFS where it's like this edge is going to go on for a little bit longer till everybody figures things out, right? This isn't poker where it's like, dude, go play a poker tournament every day, right? Go play a poker tournament every hour. Go play, multi-table, whatever, every day of your life. Don't sleep. Best ball, we get the one slate a year. And so I want to take my edge and put it into the place that can give me the most monetary gain as possible that 1 year, because I understand the structure. I hate it. I hated it. I've let people know that I hated it, but I maxed Best Ball Mania because I don't know how many more years Best Ball is going to be some big edge, right? Every other peer-to-peer game dries up eventually, right? The people start to figure it out. I think Best Ball is very different. Again, something else we'll probably talk about in the summer. I think Best Ball is very different, but you'd be lying to yourself if you said the edge isn't going to get much smaller, right? It's not like I got 2 top 10 finishes basically in Best Ball Mania in 3 years. That's like, like in 2 out of 3 slates, top 10 in the biggest tournament in the industry. I can't do that. And I haven't had that in DFS in 2 years. You know what I mean? Like it's not that easy. It's not that easy to do that. So I'm trying to maximize my monetary return right now. And so, like you said, I'm going to go play drafters because when I want to play the regular season format, I want to go play the regular season format. But I also we want our keynote games on the biggest sites to be as best as possible. And I finished 12th in Best Ball Mania and I made $15,000. And I'm grateful for that. I ran hot to get that. But the guy in 50th also got $15,000. And the guy who beat me by 3 points made $100,000. And it's like, I beat the dude in 50th by 12 points and I lost by 3 to the dude who made $100,000. I lost by 12, right? So basically the difference between me, a guy won $1 million beating me by 12. I made the same amount of money as the dude who I beat by 12 down in 50th, right? And so think about that. That's fucking crazy, man. You needed to finish in the top 10 to make any form. I'm not saying maybe $15,000 is life-changing. I don't mean to besmirch it. And it is obviously you're very thankful, but like
it's your bankroll for next year.
Right? Yeah. But like, $300,000, $1 million or whatever is life-changing for anybody. Mm-hmm. And so it's just, it's okay for us to talk about it. But like you said, at the end of the day, I'm going to go and play the games where I think I want to play the games. I love drafters. I loved it this year. I mean, my best team ended up in like 300th place in their main tournament. And I think I got 11th in the high roller or something like that. And so I didn't get an awesome finish, but that was a ton of fun, like an absolute ton.
Still
of fun.
a ton of fun sweat for that tournament overall.
Absolutely. I was sweating. Yeah. I told somebody this. I'm curious what you think about this. We're talking about week 17, but like, I didn't really sweat my underdog and DraftKings teams like all season. I drafted 5 in the $555 on DraftKings. And so I kind of sweated those, right? Because I only drafted a few of them. They're a little higher stakes. You probably sweated your Mastiff team on underdog, I would imagine, just because it's higher stakes. Yeah. I couldn't have told you what my advance rate was until the end of the regular season on either site. I wasn't paying attention. And I was like legit, like really looking at my drafters teams all season. Like, I mean, I was in first in the high roller for like half the year, and then my team collapsed and you and what's his name dunked all over me, and I fell apart. But like, that was fun. And so like, we're talking about week 17. If you didn't kind of enjoy this whole process, there are games for you to what Rob's saying, and they are fun, and the sweat is fun. And I really enjoyed it this year.
And to Erik's point, like, I was up there, like in the top 20, top 24 for most of the year with that team that ended up finishing 7th. We just had the worst run out ever for the last week. But I was lingering towards those bottom teens, low 20s. And then I had like a 3-week run where I just came and just passed everybody, right? I went into Saturday night and first in that tournament because, I mean, obviously I had Breece Hall that helped propel that specific situation, but you could sweat that all year. It's like, yeah, it was middling and then it surged and then we had a chance to make some real money in that team. So you can still sweat those drafters teams. Like we said, we had Dorito, we had Updog. Shout out to them finishing first and second. Maybe if
Amazing.
Updog drafted anyone but Devontae Adams in the first round, he might have beat Dorito and the positions would have been flipped. Who knows? I know he got a 40 burger out of him the last week, but what the hell did he do for you the rest of the year? So, like, it's, jokes aside, really congratulations to those two. Congratulations to everyone. And just while we're on this particular topic, we had Jeremy said that he almost thanked me for second place finish, got beat up by
So
Devontae
good.
Adams' team. But for real, thanks, Rob. Enjoyed your content all year. One of the things that really helped me, and I don't know if this helped you, I'll speak for myself and then you can speak on it, is I was blown away by the amount of people that reached out the next day on Twitter, in Discord and everything, and just said, we're thanking all these like big name content creators, and my name would be in there. And I'm like, wow, thanks guys. It made my day more so than any of the money that I made the day before. Like just being like, wow, thanks guys. I'm glad that we were able to help you. Even if it was a little bit, just even if it was something that you didn't agree, but you saw the value in it the other way, or you saw the value in something that we did say. I appreciate you reaching out and thanking us for that.
I couldn't agree more. It was funny.
You're muted.
Actually,
No,
I'm not muted. You're in a fucking castle.
I am in a castle.
My voice is echoing off the walls of the castle. It hasn't made it back to you yet. Give it a couple minutes, and then it'll make it. And it'll make it back. No, it's funny. It's really funny you say that, and then we will get to like some of the teams, some of the sweats for anybody that didn't get to see a lot of that stuff. So, like you said, like everyone, I think I don't know if people enjoy this. I like to share like, here's how it went for me, and here's what I was feeling, and like like I said, nobody enjoys having a 13% advance rate, no matter if you tell yourself that it was good process or not. It's not fun, and so I was telling people, like this is where I'm at. I like my teams that got through, but I have a lot less than other people do. So we need to run pretty hot. I was lucky to run pretty hot, but then you make it to week 17. You don't have CD. My hopes were not very high, just being completely honest. I didn't have CD Lamb on either team. I thought my DraftKings team specifically had way more outs to catching a CD Lamb team. And it didn't. It ended up not, right. It had Christian McCaffrey, so it really, really didn't matter. George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey didn't get to actually use Dalton. Shout out Dalton Kincaid. And it probably made me $100 or something like that. Dalton Kincaid in week 17. But I was super grateful, right? Kyron. It was even more fun to have Kyron Williams be the one that catapults you, right? 6% owned Kyron Williams in Best Ball Mania, goes for 3 touchdowns, goes for just shy of 30 points. Like, so fun, man. And to see everybody that happened to get on some Kyron, maybe they got Kyron to a final or whatever. And I'm not saying it was because of us, but we talked about him a lot. And just to see the kind of camaraderie that came around it was just like, it was really a ton of fun. Of course, for me, because I'm skyrocketing up the leaderboards. But it was really cool to see kind of a brand play for all of us come through. And then the afternoon comes around and I'm like slowly making a push and make my way up to the top 10 of BBM, right? And I'm sitting in the top 10 with, let's call it at halftime, with all of DK Metcalf, George Pickens, and JSN. Now, at that point in time, I think JSN was actually counting because he got the touchdown in my lineup. But one of those 3 was all of their points for the rest of the game would count. And then one of them needed to make up like 7 more points and they would start counting. So I'm like, give me a touchdown to 2 of those guys. And like, holy shit, dude, like we are cooking with some serious gas. We got a chance. I didn't really think I could win it based on the top score, but I thought like, I mean, $1 million is not out of the question here. And so you're sitting there and it's like, God, Najee scores and Ken Walker scores and like the Seattle kicks a field goal. And then, the game shakes out to where Seattle's trailing, which was good, but then they kick a field goal and then DK Metcalf drops a touchdown. And then to really just jab the knife into the side, the Steelers, I just assume, are going to run out the clock. No, so first, all right, people are going to deal with my tilt. I apologize. Pete Carroll's dumbass has 3 timeouts left. Steelers are driving. He challenges these. It was the single worst challenge I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't even think if he won the challenge. So it was a first down to somebody. I don't know. Jalen Warren is a first down. He challenged it. And I think he would have still given up a first. I think he challenged like a 2-yard extra gain or something like that. With you have 3 timeouts, you need to stop, get the ball back, and you need all of those timeouts. It came back. They didn't lose because of that, but they lost a chance to win because he pissed away a timeout on the dumbest challenge I've ever seen.
Carroll did that.
So all that, right? It's like you're just boiling over. You're just like, I need every point. I need every snap. I need everything. Don't fucking do that, Pete, you idiot. So anyway, right? They score. Of course, it's Najee. Right? They score another touchdown, and it's fucking Najee. Shout out Felix. Hope you're not here because I don't want to speak badly of your buddy. But Najee goes nuts. Okay, whatever. Pickens is counting in my lineup. DK Metcalf doesn't need much, and we can make a real push here. They go down. They throw it to him in the end zone, and he drops the goddamn touchdown in the end zone, right? And you're like, okay, whatever. Kick the field goal, get the ball back. Maybe we can get a little more. And then, of course, they throw a pass, the Steelers, on first down, which I could not believe, and I mean, thankful. They throw a pass, a slant to Pickens. There's no safeties back there because Seattle's trying to stop the run, and the corner just trips him up, when they threw it, I was like, oh my God, this is about to be like 10 points or whatever right here. This is going to put me, up in second or something. And he got tripped. He gets tripped up. And then they run out the clock thereafter. And it was just like, you're losing your mind. So I didn't watch Sunday Night Football. I was like you. I was like incensed. I was like, I thought this was it. You know what I mean? I thought we've been trying to break through, and these best ball tournaments had some really good sweats who haven't had the monster score. And I'm like, this should have been it. So you're mad, right? You're mad. You're mad when it doesn't work out. Talking to my wife, and she's, I'm telling her like, I was mad, but I sat there and I just like kind of looked through the Discord and looked through Twitter and all that kind of stuff. And that's exactly what it was. Like you said, people being like, dude, awesome run. I was rooting for you. DMs of people being like, awesome team. I can't believe you got that close without CD. Like, so well deserved, blah, 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 blah. And then seeing the other people in the Discord who were crushing, right? Seeing Updog and seeing Dorito 1-2 on Drafters. And Dorito's like, I never even heard of Drafters. I never would have played it if you guys didn't recommend it, and now he's got $300,000. Like seeing all that.
Please send money.
Was like amazing, dude. It was like, from then on, I was just like, it's all worth it. All the shit, all of it. It was all worth it. And so it's a long-winded way of getting to the point, but it really was. It was awesome. So like, if you're watching this and you had fun and you had a little sweat, like we appreciate you because that's why we do it. Like I could just play this game without talking about it or whatever, but it's fun to interact with you guys. And like Rob said, if you get anything from the things that the things that we're doing, the things that we're advising, our favorite players or our favorite strategy or whatever, great. But even if you learn, like, he said that, and I think that's fucking stupid, I'm not doing that. Like, that's fine. Like we're just here to talk through our thoughts. It doesn't mean you have to agree, but hopefully it's at least like some form of learning, which could be learning from disagreeing with us, but that's the point.
And we will have disagreements. Me and you will have disagreements throughout the year. There'll be disagreements in the Discord. But what happened at the end was the majority of the people in the community rallied around and were so supportive of everybody else and just so happy for the people that did make money and everything. It's like, damn, yeah, I want it to be me. But if it's not me, at least it's these people that I've talked to about these tournaments for 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, like however long we talk about these tournaments. You don't talk about a DFS slate for 10 months. You talk about a DFS slate from Tuesday to Sunday morning, and then it's gone, right? Maybe you review it the next day, and then it's like, all right, on to week, 12, 13, 14, right? And these tournaments, not only do we talk about them during draft season, we're going to talk about them for the next few months. And like, what did we do right? What was some of the winning teams? Were they drafted? What were they doing that we could have done better? Blah, 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 blah. And you're going to hear it. And it sounds like tiring, but it's not. It's a lot of fun, and it's very, very helpful. And that's why it reminds me more of poker than anything else. It's because I will go back and think of a poker tournament from 6 months ago when I played more. I don't play nearly as much as I used to, but why did I do what I do? Why did my opponent do what he did? Was his position right? You're just always trying to get better, and that's why I think I love best ball. So
I love it. I could not possibly agree more. All right, I apologize. I've been ignoring the chat more than I planned to, and there's a lot of comments in here that I missed, and I wanted to hit any. Mike says, Rob, any super fishy people in your mentions about their first round pick of Adams was a good call, because we all know you should sacrifice your first pick for 1 week. It is funny. I know Mike is obviously being funny, and people love this part about best ball because they can victory lap in many different ways, right? You can victory lap a horrible pick, which quite frankly Davante Adams was by just about any measure until week 17.
right.
And you can say, see, I told you. Get to week 17 and Davante's smashed. Like, motherfucker, you did not draft him because you thought he was going to score 45 fantasy points in week 17. I mean, you might have thought he would be fine in week 17, but I bet you didn't think Aiden O'Connell was going to be the quarterback. I bet you didn't think Jacoby Myers was going to get hurt in the fourth quarter. I bet you didn't think Josh Jacobs was going to be out, or they were going to be getting their ass kicked by the Indianapolis Colts. Like, none of that. Like, so it's like you were right. You were right in the result, but you were totally wrong in the whole process. And so it's fine. It's whatever, right? Like, enjoy when things work out for you. Trust me, if I had Davante Adams on my team, I'd be celebrating just as much as anybody else. He was on some teams that won, but like, he's a good example of people only want to bring other people down or look like they were right, and they don't actually care about the process. Like, those people, we just ignore those people. You know what I mean? So shout out to Mike.
But the thing about that is, because it does almost sound like we're double speaking because of the Alec Pierce and the George Pickens point that we made. But Davante Adams was a first round pick, early second round pick. It's a little bit different when you're talking about a guy that you're investing that much draft capital in, right?
You're drafting a first rounder to suck. And to suck the whole year when Christian McCaffrey and all these guys, CD, are going nuts. Like,
yeah, CD, Amon-Ra, all guys going around him. So like, yeah, it's a completely different situation. And all I said to those people was, show me your teams in the finals with Davante Adams. Yeah. I think Updog's the only one that could produce one for me. Yes. And he came in second, so it doesn't even count.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck that $150,000. Shout out to Updog though. That was impressive to finish second. I know Davante had a couple of good games up until now, but man, to have Davante when everybody else up there has CD, Amon-Ra, and you're chasing points with him. Team. Awesome team. Shout out Jason. Thanks for the help all draft season, guys. I finished 4th in the FFPC main event for my best win for the best ball main event. Wow. For my best win for 15 grand. Shout out to you. That's amazing. Hopefully you ignored Taysom Hill on FFPC because that's just amazing. But appreciate all the content you guys put out. Yeah. Thank you a ton. Why Dad says you draft hundreds. This is what we were talking about earlier. You draft hundreds of teams all year. And this is what we try to talk about over the summer too. It's easy to get lost, right? You draft every team, you draft one that's really cool and you post it on Twitter or you post it in the Discord. And like, none of them matter. Like, it doesn't. What matters is that you're going in and like being smart about how you draft all summer and putting together a portfolio of teams that in each team, it can win. Somehow, some way, it can win, right? And what Whitehead is, your whole season is going to be decided on that one random team, right? One team is going to decide whether you are profitable, lose money, break even, whatever. And it's not always going to be the players that you loved the most all summer, right? Like I said, George Pickens became my most important player, give or take. Outside of probably Kyron, became my most important player, and I didn't really like him. All summer, I probably never said that dude's name all summer, except that I think he might not be very good, which I am going to go ahead and hold that L. That dude has gotten a lot better, especially like over the last month. I've watched a lot of Steelers games in the last 3 weeks, believe it or not, and he looks a lot better. He also looked awesome against the Seahawks in a tougher matchup. It wasn't just cooking the old Bengals, which everybody's cooking, but
Except the
Uh,
fucking Chiefs.
yeah, except Pacheco did it. Rice almost did it.
Dude, if
Rashi,
Rice scores that touchdown, like that one where he breaks, I make thousands and
he
thousands
cooked
more.
that dude. Yeah, he cooked that dude. He's running completely down the sideline, untouched. Which, by the way, you want to know what else? Talk about. I was tilting earlier, right? Now here's the sun run that I had compared to the bad luck that I had in the Steelers game. Was I don't. Did you watch the Rams game at all?
The Rams game. I was watching. That was the 1:00 game, right? I
Yep.
was watching Red Zone at the time
in New York. So obviously I have Kyron. Puka catches the long ball down the sideline, just like Rashi does.
Yep.
I'm sure he's gone. But shout out Puka, we loved you. You're so fucking slow. He could not pull away down the sideline. He gets hawked. There's a dude that wasn't on the screen when Puka's breaking away that just hawks him down and takes him down at the 2. And Kyron scores.
Oh yeah, I was jumping up on that
Puka
one.
had 80 yards. Puka had an 80-yard catch, and I mean it was good. You're happy if you have him, but if you had Puka in the final, you had to just be like throwing. And without Kyron, you had to be just like throwing shit. While I was like dancing around, the basement, just like please no, because that there's other Puka teams, and if he scores there, the difference, that's a huge swing, and just got super duper lucky on that one. It was amazing. Shout out Hacker says the community. I haven't played poker seriously since high school, early college, so I wouldn't know about the poker community since then. We barely had the internet.
It's very toxic overall.
The best ball community can be very toxic. I just muted all those people. Like I said, I deleted Twitter from my phone, and I muted a lot of people that have been super negative. And my experience has gotten a lot better with all that. Like I said, this past month has been amazing. Absolutely amazing. Jason says his FFPC team. Here's another one. I got lucky with Kyron, right? The Puka goes out at the 1. He needed Warren to score, and he gets stuffed at the 1, and it's a $60,000 swing. That's what the DK Metcalf drop was. I think 65. I think I would have made 80 if DK Metcalf catches that touchdown, give or take, somewhere in that realm. Anything jump out to you from week 17? I'm going to do something separate than this show to go through kind of all of our. I mean, there's way too many teams for all of us to run. Like the Discord is littered with all of you guys' winning teams. Amazing. Thank you for posting them. And we're going to put something special together that has all of that. But was there anything that you were like, other than what I would say the McCaffrey injury, was there anything that like while it happened, you were just like, it shook you or surprised you or just was notable?
Well, I mean, like this answer is so too on brand for us. But what I was thinking about during the week 17 games was how vital structure is, but also how vital using the correct information, especially in August, to draft players. Because the 17th and 18th rounds this year, like you could have crushed those rounds. So if you want to look at my team, you can go back, you can watch every single draft pick that I did for the Mastiff, right? And if you get to the 17th and 18th round, if I don't make the 2 picks I make in those 2 rounds, I might not make it out of the opening 6 out of 12 advance. And I definitely don't make it to the finals, right? Because you could say that my first 2 picks were bust. I had Tony Pollard and Pat Mahomes as my top 2 picks. Mahomes wasn't like a complete bust for the way that I structured the team.
Yeah.
Pollard definitely was. And because of the way I wanted to structure that team, I went with Kyron Williams and Trey McBride. And I just strengthened every single position that I wanted to just beat everybody at, which was not wide receiver. So my tight end corps, Trey McBride, Hunter Henry, George Kittle. Explosion games all year until week 17. But the point is, because of the information I had, because of how I felt about Trey McBride, because I drafted him at like 24% or something like that, because I knew the Arizona Cardinals were going to be bad. I'm still shocked they played Zach Ertz as much as they did early in the year.
Right.
and you have to let the young kid cook. So it's just like, call it ball knowing or whatever you want to know or whatever you want to call it. But he was like, I always was stunned where he was available in drafts for the entire offseason. So understanding, and the Kyron thing is just understanding what teams are telling you, right? You're not always going to know, but the Rams told us who their players were. They literally told us who their players were this year. They sat Kyron in preseason games. They were sitting all these guys, and we're like, and some of us got the flash bulbs. Maybe some of us got it later than others, but once you got there, you were able to just build really good teams, and it allowed you to build A, super teams, or B, miss on certain guys early and still be okay. And I joke about Devontae Adams, but if you drafted Devontae Adams, right, but you secured that with a Puka team because of the information you had in August to basically flip flop those two guys, right?
Yeah.
Because now Puka's your first round
Great
pick,
point.
and Devontae Adams is your 17th or 18th round pick that
Late
actually
season
just strikes.
hammer.
Right. Right. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that's what you should be looking to do, but it allows for that opportunity rather than
You
drafting.
got outs. Yep. You have extra outs that the non-Puka, non-Kyron, right? If you drafted Malik Davis and Tyquan Thornton at the end, your Devontae team died. But if you did everything that you just outlined, you could save that Devontae team, and that's how you win the whole thing when he does have the big week 17.
Yeah, and it sounds like I'm cherry picking, like the best players, and it's like, yeah, there's other ones that we didn't like, but the point being is I'm talking about the informational edge that we had in August for that particular thing.
100%.
And we'll be talking more about that informational edge and which tournaments it's best for. Is it best for drafters? Is it best for? It's best for all of them, but like, does it really help you in drafters? Does it really help you on underdog? That's the stuff that I know this sounds like a long-winded answer, but it's what I was thinking about during the games. At one point, I'm like, look at these guys that are just, it's not going to happen every year, but look at these guys that we really liked in these late rounds that are just absolutely tearing it up during the entire season. And the reason why we like them, no one liked Kyron Williams measurables, right? But they liked what the team was showing you. They liked what they were showing you with Puka, all this other stuff. So that's what I was thinking about.
We don't victory lap as much as maybe we even should, but I took a little opportunity to victory lap Kyron the other day, because when your other stands are Rashad Penny and Damian Harris, you don't have a lot to victory lap, and Jahan Dotson and Rashad Bateman. The list goes on and on of all the whiffs. But when you fucking Dotson, it was really fun watching McLaurin go ham in week 17 when you have Jahan Dotson. But I tweeted this the other day, and I think, like I said, it's certainly victory lapping and engagement farming, call it whatever you want to call it. But I think we focus almost entirely on kind of the strategy element here. I think that's largely my guidance as kind of the creator, founder, whatever you want to call it, of Spike Week. I believe that attaching yourself solely, not that you can't have these, but solely to I know ball better than other people, I think is a mistake from a long-term strategy. I think what we can do here at Spike Week is help you from a strategic sense better your process. And that can mean like a lot of different things. You may be a really good, like, I know ball bro, but you also may not be. And I want to be able to help everybody. And I also want to make sure that we're not everybody that we're playing against thinks they have the IKB edge, right? Everybody. They all watch the games. 98% of them don't have a fucking idea what they're looking at when they're watching these games, right? And some of the like analytics bros, they don't even know what they're looking at in the right in the route run numbers, ESPN open score, right? EPA. They don't know about all of that. So what we try to do is like bring everything together and be like, this, what you really want to do is a full scale kind of strategy that takes into account, of course, some ball knowing, some analytics, some player takes, lots of strategy takes, lots of, right? Like nobody's doing this. right? Ownership takes, we built all these tools, right? Projected ownership, draft rate, player combinations. We're trying to bring all of that together so that everybody can be successful, not just come here because I know ball, which is fine. I look, there's lots of people that know ball, and you should listen to them about that. But I think sometimes
Me with Rashad Penny. But
exactly. Yeah. You definitely knew ball with Rashad Penny. Jesus. I'm so done. I'm so ready for that. Can no one sign him, please, God? I want that motherfucker out of my life for eternity. I wasn't drafting Will Fuller, but I now know how people felt about Will Fuller when he just disappeared off the face of the earth. I feel like Rashad Penny disappeared off the face of the earth, and he was on the goddamn sideline for every game. I can only imagine what Will Fuller people felt when he was, off on a private island or whatever. Anyway, I bring this up to say that, like, we don't really dive in, like we don't get our hand in the dirt like a shit ton. We talk lots of all the other strategy stuff because ultimately I do think that's most important. But like the Kyren thing, like you look at on your screen, this goes back to before the draft when Kyren Williams was at Notre Dame, where I said Kyren Williams is my favorite rookie running back in that class. And I quote tweeted it the other day. We're a little early. We're a little wrong. Favorite might have ended up being a little wrong to start. But is it wrong? Was it wrong? So no. we know a little bit of ball too. And I brought this up just to say, like, the amount of times people probably get sick of me saying, like, variance, chaos, it doesn't matter, like blah, 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 ownership, right? Unique player combos, uniqueness, all that shit. But like, hopefully we can bring a little bit of everything. And hopefully that's what, as we're wrapping now, right, with kind of a week 17 wrap, hopefully that is kind of what we can bring. And yeah, shout out Shuby. You notice there weren't a lot of, the only tweets I have from Kyren post combine were like, this motherfucker really ran a 4.840. You know what I mean? Like, like, God damn it. Like now I just staked my brand to a dude who's going to go in the fifth, going to go in the fifth round. But
to tie together all your points, that obviously the Kyren take goes to your structure take. Like your favorite structure is 0 RB. Kyren tied perfectly into 0 RB teams, right? So like just to tie it all together, it's like you can have a player take and it can still go towards your structure take, and it's knowing how to draft for the structures overall.
100%. Couldn't have said it much better. We do got to start to get out of here. Rob's got to climb out of his castle, or whatever the hell is going on, find the ghosts that are in said castle. But
I'll post some pictures of this place in the Discord and the general chat, because this is the coolest hotel that I've ever been in my life.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. I'm also excited to kind of the best ball season is over. We're of course going to be diving into playoff best ball. If you have not purchased the playoff best ball almanac, it is just $20. It is awesome. It has rankings for underdog and drafters. Bernie be at B Kurt in the Discord. Bernie is just freaking crushing it. So are Silas and Trev with team previews. There's like, I think I counted it the other day, like 60 something pieces of content. Plus Hacker built the playoff odds. I really do believe that it's the best resource for playoff best ball. We're definitely going to do plenty of that. We're going to do some streams that are not a part of the almanac as well. We're going to dive into playoff best ball for sure. But I also like,
can I jump in on playoff best ball really quick?
Yes.
I know everybody's jumping in the gauntlet and everything, and so have I. But there is a $20 tournament over on Drafters.
Great call.
That has it's going to max out at 14,000, and it's only got less than 3,000 entrants right now. So if you're looking for some overlay and you like playoff best ball, and it's a little bit different of a format, tight ends actually count as tight ends in that one. No disrespect to underdog, because I'm still playing the gauntlet as well, but I'm going to be firing a little more heavy over the next week and a half on Drafters at that particular tournament.
I agree with you. That's my favorite tournament. I think in the whole space, a lot of monetary upside. I do like the advancement structure. I like both formats. So I'm not like saying one or the other is better. I really enjoy both. And for regular season, I much prefer the advanced structure because the tournament playoff structure, which is the sweat, is like unmatched. But for playoff best ball, having all of the positions, having multiple running back positions, multiple wide receiver positions, a tight end and flex is in a little bit deeper drafts, right? It's a little bit bigger roster and full PPR. And maybe some people don't like that part, but it's the more, if you are, again, a sicko that you see on the top of your screen, if you like are really deep into all this stuff, the more like little elements, I don't want to make it too complicated like they did with fucking Best Ball Mania with all the different payouts and stuff, but the more little things that we can add to extrapolate our edge, right? Add the tight end in, because the casual person is probably not going to be as good as we are about managing that and how we draft for that. And so I love just little nuances like that in that tournament. It's awesome. I suspect it's going to overlay, and there's tons of money to be had in that one. So I'm really excited to dive into a bunch of those. Only other thing I was going to say before we get out of here is we are obviously a best ball focused site, company, whatever you want to, YouTube channel, whatever you want to call it. It's not over for like us looking at 2023. I think that's kind of what we're in a fast moving space. A lot of people have already moved on to playoff best ball, or they're going to move on to the next season, or they're going to move on to basketball or baseball or whatever. We're going to cover, right, all of those things from a best ball format. But like, I feel like what happens in best ball still, with it being pretty new and there not being, there's tons of DFS tout sites, there's tons of sports betting sites, tons of all that. When stuff's over in best ball, we don't like stick on it. You know what I mean? Next summer, everybody's going to come back around and start researching the whole season or whatever. But like, I still want to kind of keep discussing some of the things we may have learned here over the course. So our Monday night show, tonight's show are not going anywhere. We'll be here every single week. Of course, yesterday was a holiday, so we were out, but we're going to be here every single week, and we're going to be talking about whatever you want to talk about that just happened from 2023. We're going to talk about it and start to figure these things out together, really, as we go. Lessons learned, things that we can take into 2024 from the 2023 season, analyzing the finals teams, we got all the player combinations from like a bunch of tournaments. Hacker, he might have just released it. We have all the like player ownership and player combo data in our tournament database for weekly winners. For like all these tournaments, we have all that stuff now. We're going to break all of that stuff down. So I know it feels like, all right, season's over, let's wait a few months. But if you've enjoyed the last 9 months or whatever, 6 months, 9 months, we're just going to keep building on that. And like I said, we'll cover playoff best ball, we'll cover baseball, we'll cover NBA playoff best ball, we'll cover all that stuff. But I'm actually more so excited than the last couple of years, to be totally honest with you, to like keep on about all this stuff and not like take some big break and come back and like restart over. I feel like we're in a really good spot to keep building upon everything we just learned in 2023.
Yeah, and what I'll add to that is not only are we going to keep doing these shows and the ones where we talk strategy, we do drafts and all that stuff, like that's all going to stay, obviously. But I think what we're going to do this year as well is we're going to get back to having some fun again. So, it's January. The Royal Rumble is in January. Maybe the Best Ball Rumble is coming back this year. And I have another plan that I pitched to Eric that he won't even respond to, but I'm doing it. And I have to put paperwork together for this other plan, but it's going to be fun. So be on the lookout for that. And I will be hyping that up in the off season as we approach it. But we're going to have fun again. We're going to have some of the best conversations with the smartest people, myself, Eric, but we'll be bringing people in and having a ton of fun, and learning a lot. And we learn just as much from everyone that's in the chat, in the Discord, as they could learn from us. So, I mean, I don't always comment in there. I've said that before, but I'm always lurking. I'm always reading these conversations and seeing what people are saying. So I'm always watching. Just remember
Totally
that.
agree.
Always.
Totally agree. and always watching. Yeah, Josh the Rock is back, which was wild, wild to see. Really brought me back. I almost turned on Peacock and watched some old school wrestling stuff when the Rock came back. But
did you see how tired he was?
Yes,
he did 2 moves and he was blown up.
My man got a little too big in the acting career. He is. I mean, that dude is huge. I know everybody knows this, but seeing him there wrestling and looking kind of back at old school, right? I mean, he's a big dude, right? Just a naturally big human. But he was big but cut back in his wrestling days. He is enormous. I mean, he is so big. Like you said, I'm not in the world's best shape anymore either. I mean, I'm 35 years old. I can't do what I used to do back in my athletic days and stuff. He looked like me when I'm like, I'm going to get back, the January 1st, I'm going to get back in shape, right? Let's go run a mile. And you make it a quarter of a mile and you're like, oh my God, someone kill me. Please someone kill me. That's what The Rock looked like. It was like, buddy, we all loved it. It was awesome. Thank you for coming back. But Jesus Christ, dude, you are so out of shape. But I was just going to say, perfect closing. I mentioned that we're going to keep on, about learning all these things. And Rob, obviously, we're going to have a lot of fun. I started working on my 2024 ranks. I'm hoping next week to get the first. I don't want to just push them out, rush them
Kyron
out.
101.
Have them, of course. Kyron 101. Is there higher than 101? Christian McCaffrey's hurt. Don't you know? Christian McCaffrey got hurt. He's injury prone now. That means Kyron. Don't ignore the fact that Kyron got hurt. But yes, 2024 ranks are going to come soon because I imagine the big board and everything is coming soon. So long hour way of us saying more fun shit is coming. 2024 stuff, lessons from 2023, some fun, all that kind of stuff. And ultimately, we appreciate you guys. We hope you had an awesome week 17. We appreciate all the positive feedback. Appreciate hanging out with us for all this time. And I'm really, really, really excited about the next year. 2024, I think, is going to be best year of best ball yet. Certainly the best week of Spike Week, or best year of Spike Week. And it's all because of you guys. So I don't have the exact schedule yet for when we are going to be back, but playoff best ball is certainly going to be the next thing here on the horizon. We'll have some draft streams, not all recorded in the Almanac. We'll get some free ones up here on YouTube for you guys. Be on the lookout for that on Twitter and in the Discord. But otherwise, to check out Rob's castle picks
King of the
later.
Castle. King of the Castle.
Exactly. And we'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? You turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, boom, you know about it. You can be there. You can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.